All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live once again, December 7th, Conscious Approach live stream. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the channel, whether you're tuning in live or whether you're tuning in after the recording has completed. Greatly appreciate it. My name is JV Wins. I'm here with my boy Dogon SS as usual. The first topic that we are going to get into tonight is comments that the Hollywood actress Sandra Bullock made with respect to her parenting and how she handles teaching her children about the ways of the world. So, apparently Sandra Bullock is about that blended family life. Kind of reminds me of Angelina Jolie. I don't follow her too closely, but obviously I did a little bit of research once I saw this video. And she has an adopted black son. So, apparently she is someone who is embracing of the notion of blended family. She has a black son, but obviously that lends itself to some interesting parenting hurdles because obviously with her being a white, female and him being a black son, her son being black rather, how do you traverse the pathways or the corridors of teaching your son about race and how the world works? So I'm not going to speak for her. I'll go ahead and let her speak for herself. We're going to play this clip real quick of the comments that she made, and then we'll discuss them after the video has concluded.
I have a beautiful black son. It's at the age of 6. He popped on a hoodie, and I was like, we're going to have a conversation. It's different for you than it is. And I said, what does it look like you're doing with the hoodie? And he says, well, I look like I'm hiding. Do you have anything to hide? He said, no. I said, then you don't need to wear it like that outside. I said, people are scared and will react to you differently than if you were a white boy. And he knows it. I let them see everything. I let them hear and know everything, see it all. I don't care if it scares them because it's my job to let them know that outside of these safe walls that things are different, but they know how safe they are in my house. And it's a scary thing to be a parent in general. It's a scary thing to think that when your beautiful son grows up and becomes a man, someone's not going to treat him the way that you treat him simply because of the color of his skin. It breaks my heart. It makes me full of rage. It makes me afraid. But all I can do is my job, protect them and enlighten them, show them their power, show them how to be safe. But the system is not fair. This whole film is about a system of unfairness. And why don't we make more movies about those who are disenfranchised and aren't born into the luxuries that some of us have been lucky enough by the roll of a dice to have been born?
All right. So that was that. So those are her comments. Obviously we always want to play the video so that we can get the full breadth of what it is that we're talking about. First of all, let me just say that I don't think that she's a disingenuous person, right? So I have a general rule when it comes to this race stuff. And my general rule is I let people's behavior and actions over a course of a period of time formulate my opinions. I don't presume people to be racially biased, but I also don't presume that people aren't racially biased. I don't lean one way or the other. I let you tell me. So having said that, I believe that she is a genuine person who just loves people and does care about people and wants the world to be a happy-go-lucky, better place and all that good stuff. So the emotion that she is feeling when she's expressing these views, I guess I'm just saying I believe that they're coming from a good place. I'll say that. Now, having said that, I do think that she is doing the thing that most people who get on these public platforms to talk about race in this manner do. And they are ignoring the nuance and they are leaping straight to the easy cop-out of victimhood and talking about how it is one big broad brush for every person in every circumstance. All Black people in every circumstance, in every predicament, just naturally, inherently have it that way. And I don't think it is that simple. Now, once again, I'm not blaming her for doing what she's doing. This is what most people do. Most people take the easy way out. And they talk about how all of the world is evil and how everyone is out to get all people of color, all Black people in this case. I oftentimes like to discuss the nuance because, in my opinion, these are matters of gray and the nuance matters. So, this isn't necessarily a critique of Sandra Bullock, but more so an additional example that I can point to express how important it is that we discuss nuance when it comes to these racial issues. So, the bottom line for me is that, the modern manifestation of racism, in my opinion, is economics. And so what you see nowadays is disenfranchised people are like 99% more likely to be victimized by aspects of racism. And because disproportionately it is mostly Black people who are disenfranchised by the numbers, optically it looks like it's a system that is geared towards victimizing Black people exclusively. But it just so happens that by percentage, it's mostly Black people who are in these types of environments. Again, that doesn't make what Sandra Bullock is saying wrong, but it also means that you're ignoring nuance. And I feel as though it's important to talk about the aspect of economics when it comes to this type of stuff. The fact of the matter is, as genuine as her feelings and emotions may be, Sandra Bullock's Black son is far less likely to be victimized by racism than most other Black kids. Sandra Bullock's son isn't growing up in Liberty City in Miami. Sandra Bullock's son is not growing up in Carroll City or the former Carroll City in Miami. Sandra Bullock's son is not growing up in Watts or Compton out in LA. Sandra Bullock's son is not growing up in the south side of Chicago. Sandra Bullock's son is not growing up in Decatur in Atlanta, Georgia. Not to say that Sandra Bullock's son isn't at a higher risk for being victimized by racism, but he is far less likely. And the likelihood that he is a victim of racism points to the outlier and not what is actually taking place in mass. So, her kid is probably going to grow up in an affluent neighborhood surrounded by mostly kids who don't look like him. He'll probably end up going to schools where the majority of the students don't look like him. And the school has resources and the financial manpower that can position him to be successful in his future. And the schools that most Black kids go to don't have those resources. He'll probably end up going to if college is in this kid's future, he'll probably end up going to a good school where the majority of the kids are not Black, unless he goes to an HBCU, which is a possibility, not saying that it's not. But the point is, his trajectory in life, because of the circumstance that he is being born into, dictates that he is not as susceptible to racism as most other Black kids. And that is an observation in American economics. And it is another way for us to understand that when you're not growing up disenfranchised, your chances of success, whether you're Black or brown or purple, are far more likely. And, I just wish that when we're doing these, when we're seeing these people talk about these issues, people like her or others who, they feel so inclined to talk about racial issues. And she's impassioned to do this, again, because she has an adopted son who's Black, so more power to her. But I think that it behooves people in her position, and again, this isn't a critique, it's just my opinion, to discuss these nuances and to talk about the deep-seated reasons for why these things take place. That it is a matter of economics and people being born into low socioeconomic environments that increase the likelihood in which you will be victimized by these dynamics. Her children are not going to have to face that. So, I think that the feeling that she is feeling is she feels this pain for all people and not just her son. And I guess she is using her son as a conduit with which to talk about the general feeling that she has about how upset that she is at the general state of affairs. I'm not going to put words into her mouth or anything like that. That's just what I gleaned from those comments, because she's smart enough, I think, to understand that the reality is that her kid is not going to have to deal with a lot of this stuff. And if he does, unfortunately, it would be an outlier. It wouldn't be the norm. It wouldn't be the rule. It would be an occurrence that exists outside of the general bell curve. It would be one thing if she was growing up impoverished, poor, in these low socioeconomic environments where these communities are, militarized, so to speak, by police and by law enforcement. And you grow up with certain mannerisms, actions, behaviors, and sensibilities that might be threatening to people who don't live in those communities. Not that it's those individuals' faults, but this is the reality of growing up in these environments. Her kid's not going to have to deal with that. People in her position and other people who like to get on these soapboxes and talk about race, it would be, I think, helpful to the honesty of these discussions for them to bring these nuanced aspects of the conversation into the discussion. And oftentimes they miss the mark on that. So, that was kind of where I was coming from when I first, watched the video and I heard her comments. Again, let me reiterate, I think that they're coming from a genuine place. I do think that I don't sense any malevolence in her. The history of her career, at least publicly up to this point, has been one of, philanthropy and benevolence, something that suggests to me that she does care about everybody and that she does understand that the world is rife with inequities. But having said that, let's not act like your kid is going to deal with the same things that my cousins in Carroll City dealt with, or that I dealt with growing up at my grandma's house in Carroll City, or let's not act like your son is going to deal with any of the things that some of these other kids in these other low socioeconomic environments are going to be dealing with, because that's simply not the case. And those are the kids who are in most danger of, not making it, whether they end up incarcerated, killed, murdered, whatever the case may be. Those are the ones who are most likely to get caught up within the system of inequity that currently exists, more so than your son. But that was pretty much all I had to say about it.
I mean, I hear that, and I guess as far as my first reaction when hearing it was, I wasn't offended. I was just more shocked. I was like, "What is she saying?" And I know what she was saying, but at the end of the day, I don't see the need to say it out loud. Uh, what else are you doing in your house? What other stories do you want to share with me, Miss Bullock? I don't see, I don't hear anything else about her private life. I don't want to hear this. And I feel as though that this is I don't know what she's trying to, promoting her movie that she got going on.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And
I think the movie promotion was the reason why she was doing that interview. But
right,
yeah, she still felt inclined to bring that up. The movie has something to do about, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And so, and my thing is that, yeah, I mean, kudos to her for raising a, a child from another race. I'm not judging her. Uh, that's cool. The thing that I did realize in Hollywood is that that is a thing to do. Uh, to me, I think it's more of a trendy thing to do. To me, that's how I view it. I think it's more like um, a designer pet type of situation more than raising a child. It's more of a status type of thing, making a statement of the type of woman you are in Hollywood to raise a black child, right? And I think it's more of some weird Hollywood thing. But kudos to that. I don't know what circumstance the child was living in before. I'm pretty sure whatever lifestyle he's living now is a hell of a lot better than whatever foster home he came from or whatever potential home he could have landed at. So he's eating good food. He's in a great shelter situation. The woman that's taking care of him loves him, apparently. So I'm not judging any of that stuff. It is what it is. But my take from it was more or less from hearing it was like, hey, well, you keep a lot of things private with your house and how you raise your other children or whatever you do or whatever. And I hear that this story is relevant in how you raise your child. And I don't know how I don't know how else a white woman's supposed to tell a black kid not. That's the part that's wild to me. Like I don't know how else she's supposed to say that. So that's the part where I do agree with you saying that it is coming from a genuine place, but it's just a wild thing to hear her say it like that, coming from the fact that she doesn't come from that background,
Right.
coming from the fact that she doesn't know what really gets them shot. It's more than the hoodie. And yes, the hoodie does help make you look suspicious, but there's other things involved, much to like how you were saying earlier about socioeconomic situations and settings
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Now, granted, a kid in a well-off neighborhood, a black kid walking in a well-off neighborhood with his hoodie on too low, apparently, he's he is triggering, and people will call cops maybe if they don't know that's Sandra Bullock's son. So I guess I get all of those dynamics too, you know. But it was just one of those things where I just feel like I don't know. I guess it rubbed me the wrong way hearing it, more or less. But it was more or less a surface ego thing of initially hearing it like, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
But I knew exactly what she was talking about. I knew what she was getting at, and more or less, I do feel as though it was innocent. But I still think that like I was saying before, as far as celebrities adopting minority children, right? I still think that that's some type of trend or something like that. You know, it's the best pet you can have. That's
Yeah.
how I think they look at it. And but hey, what have you? I still think that they're in better situations though. So I'm not here to judge it. It's just one of those things where it's just like it's one of those relationships, man. It's like in the ocean, it's just a big old apex predator type of thing, and it's letting some whatever type of stuff eat off of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just like whatever, man. They got a relationship and an understanding, and it's working. So what are you mad at? So I just look at stuff like that and go, hey, man, that's them. Let them have it. But overall, I get the message though, and I understand exactly where you're coming from too as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think the advent of that to me, it does kind of rub me as strange. I just think that, I think that, guys like us who are in our position and our backgrounds and given what we know and the history that we've researched, I just think that we are going to have to understand that this is just some people's way of trying to help. And it's like, could they do it in a
Yeah, I
different
get it.
way? Could they do it in
Yeah.
a different way, a better way? Yes. But I just feel like they're just trying, we had a discussion off camera one day.
Mhm.
We were talking about last year when everybody was marching in the streets. And I mentioned how weird I thought it was to watch all of these white people in the streets talking about Black Lives Matter. And it was just like, okay, so what did you think was going on? So it took seeing the George Floyd video for you to understand that these things exist. So now you want to march in the streets? Like, and so, it's just the pendulum swinging from one end to the other, where you had people who seemed to be either okay with the status quo or ignorant towards it, to now going full on, I'm gonna, be a militant and ride in the streets for my Black people. Like, where were you all these other years when this stuff was going on and it just wasn't getting caught on camera?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
like, you got Disney and ESPN. So all of these corporate companies are now pro HBCU and pro Black people and pro putting Black people in all their movies and commercials and films.
Mhm.
I see all of these like car commercials where they're intentionally, I think this is blatantly intentional, where they're portraying this notion of blended families and interracial relationships and marriages. Again, I don't have an issue with interracial relationships and marriages, except when it's a political ploy. So it's like now we're seeing these car commercials, these insurance commercials, these commercials from these service providers. There's a Sherwin Williams commercial even, or a Bear, one of these painting commercials where the man of the household is Black, the woman of the household is white, the kids are blended. all fair and good. Bear was not making those kinds of commercials before 2020. So it's like, you know, the fact that we weren't seeing these things for all these years before, and now we're seeing all these things now, the cynical person within me is like, why now? Like, what are you doing? Because you saw a video, is that why you're doing it now? And my theory on this is that I feel as though people who do grow up affluent or even upper middle class white people, they understand inherently that they have been able to sort of benefit from their sort of inherent whiteness. And so in order to reconcile the guilt from that, they are like full on pro black people and pro Black Lives Matters in these ways that can oftentimes come off as cringy. At least to me, it comes off as cringy.
Yeah.
And you know, but whenever I'm feeling myself wanting to sort of criticize it, I just kind of take a step back and I say, I'm going to try and put my faith in people and be optimistic and believe that they're at least coming from a good place with it, even though it is cringy as hell. And I just sort of back off and I say, okay, fine, I'll take it. It is what it is. I'll take it. It would have been better if you guys were on all of this beforehand, but whatever, fine. You want to get on it now, whatever. And I think that's what's going on with this Hollywood stuff, these Hollywood elites and these liberals, people who, from a fiscal and economic standpoint, back a lot of the policies that are put on by people who they are ideologically opposed to when it comes to these social issues. That's a whole other discussion about how ironic this stuff is. Mm-hmm. But these elites and these Hollywood people and this Hollyweird stuff, and they're all super into the Black Lives Matter and blended and let me adopt black kids and all of this kind of stuff. That's another one of these yields to me of this wave that comes across as cringy, but that I try to just give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, fine, I'll accept that at least it's coming from a genuine place, even though to me it's cringy. You know, that's kind of how I try to reconcile those inner feelings for myself. So, but I get what you're saying. I think that it is weird, to say the least, because at the end of the day, I mean, you can adopt all of the black kids in the world. And again, it's good that you can provide a better life and a better opportunity for that kid. But at the end of the day, you cannot possibly relate to what people who look like him overall have to go through on a regular basis. And so to speak on it in that manner is just, again, I can't find any other word but cringy. But nevertheless, I just say, hey, man, do what you do. You want to adopt black kids and whatever. I guess, like, the way that I look at it is, as weird and cringy as I might find it to be, at least that black kid is going to have a legitimate shot at generational wealth and financial freedom, which is more than we can say about 96% of these black kids who are out here growing up having to figure it out for themselves. Because they don't have that infrastructure that she can provide to her kid for themselves. So, you know, maybe that's the way that you can look at it. Like, yeah, it's weird and cringy, but, you know, glass half full type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cringy. I will admit that. But like I said, man, the part that I do see that is beneficial of the entire scenario is the welfare of the child in these situations, where I know how foster homes can be. I know how people that were in foster homes can lead up being ultimately in life. And this kid has a bright future because he actually has access to resources. Yeah. So in these scenarios, I look at the bigger picture for that kid and say, hey, man, he's still in a better off situation by being with her like that. Right. So I don't really judge it so much to that capacity, outside of me just trying to figure out that they're so super ultra liberal that they'll adopt a black baby. You know? And so it's just like, all right, I guess. I mean, I get it, but I saw it as a trend when it first started happening. So, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think that we're too far off in looking at it that way. I just say glass half full. So
Mhm.
yeah, the welfare of the child is a good way to look at it. And it is what it is. But I guess this is just the way that they can try and figure out how to make it better. And I don't know.
Mhm.
But all right, we'll move on from there. Big ups to Sandra Bullock and how she wants to handle that, and good luck to the child, and hopefully he has a bright future ahead of him. Although I am sure he is, but I just think that we need to discuss the nuance of these types of discussions and not lean so heavily into all black kids are going to be victims, because her kid is not going to be a victim. So,
Mhm.
period. But up next,
But hey, for Jay, let me share screen on this one because once you popped up that LeBron thing, you started lagging, bro. So when
okay,
it's time to present the LeBron thing, let me present the LeBron.
okay,
Yeah, yeah. Share that. Share that. Hold on. Hold on. Am I sharing a window? Am I sharing just a tab? All right, cool. Then we want the Lebanon. Cool.
yeah. Hit play first before we share it, because sometimes the ad will pop up. But yeah. If no ad pops up, then it's good.
All right, we're in the money now. No ad.
So next we're gonna talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, some comments that he made about uh, King James, LeBron James. So apparently LeBron James was fined for, I guess we would call it, an obscene gesture after
Hmm.
the Lakers played, I believe it was the Detroit Pistons. And LeBron hit a shot and did what is being called a ball dance, and he was fined, I believe, $15K for the ball dance. And Kareem, made some comments about LeBron and his ball dance. So we was just going to talk about that for a little bit. So you can go ahead and share it.
All right,
And
yeah, I'm sharing screen, but you got to allow it up on full
yeah,
view. All right, cool, cool.
LeBron was fined $15,000 for doing a big balls dance after the Lakers win over the Pistons. The NBA has been fining players between $15,000 and $25,000 for doing this dance since the 2010-2011 season. For me, winning is enough. Why do you need to do a stupid childish dance and disrespect the other team on the court? It doesn't make sense. Goats don't dance.
Hmm. Goats don't dance, man.
yeah, goats don't dance. Goats don't dance. Yeah. So it's LeBron doing his thing. I think at the time of this recording, the Lakers are 12-12. They don't look good. The roster is not good, which is what I was saying when they put this thing together. But all of these LeBron lovers kept telling me that LeBron was going to wave a magic wand and make it fit, even though any person who knows anything about basketball whatsoever knew that this was not going to look good. And I predict, personally, go out on a limb and say this,
Hmm.
I predict that by the trading deadline, Russell Westbrook gets traded. That is my prediction. Yeah.
Whoa,
I think that that's going to happen because as much of a Midas touch that you think LeBron has, he's not going to magically give Russell Westbrook the ability to stretch the floor and hit open shots. Unless you bring him off the bench and do not play him and LeBron at the same time. They already
whoa.
cannot shoot. So they are going to continue to lose, and they're going to lose in the first round of playoffs unless you make moves to move out one of these non-space floors and bring in somebody who can hit shots. But that's a basketball. I'm not going to get off on a tangent talking about basketball. But yeah, so Kareem talked about LeBron, and Kareem got a little self-righteous. He engaged in some righteous indignation, talking about how LeBron shouldn't have to do a stupid ball dance. And from the self-righteous angle, I would side with LeBron. The ball dance doesn't offend me. Guys doing stuff like that, it is what it is. Like, you having fun, you out there playing, you making big plays, do a ball dance, whatever. But it's this idea of LeBron being a GOAT and the responsibility of how he's supposed to act in accordance with his GOAT status is the part that I kind of want to throw a shoe at. Because, I think that it's unfair for LeBron to be held to GOAT standards because he's not the greatest ever. And so it's a bit unreasonable for us to criticize him every time he becomes human within the context that you shouldn't do that because you're one of the GOATs. Who cares? He's not even a GOAT anyway. So calling him out for that is a bit hyperbolic, but much like Sandra Bullock placating to a large base with her comments, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is placating to a large base within the sports commentary sector who likes to throw around this idea that LeBron is in his own category on the Mount Rushmore, top 3, top 5, top 2, whatever, and therefore has to adhere to a certain kind of behavior. And, to that, I just think it's kind of silly. I know I have a unique view on this because my thing is let him act the way he wants to act. Not because I don't inherently think there's something wrong with what he did, but because I don't think that he should be afforded the GOAT tag and thus not have to act and thus not be allowed to act a certain kind of way because of his GOAT tag or because of his GOAT status. That's how I see it. And, as an aside, I think some of this from Kareem comes from the fact that, he was a Laker, LeBron is a Laker. He feels like you should probably represent the franchise in a certain kind of way. Hence, whenever you don't, in his eyes, it must be his responsibility to kind of call that stuff out. But, I mean, who cares? Like, LeBron is not only not the greatest player ever, he's not even the greatest Laker ever. And, his Lakers career is going to be marred by injury and a suspect bubble championship. And so let's stop affording him the GOAT tag and just trying to critique what his behavior should be because he's one of the greatest of all time.
You're gonna put an asterisk next to the bubble, bro?
Yeah, let him ball dance because he's not a GOAT.
Are you putting an asterisk next to his bubble championship like that?
Yes, I am, but not because. But I put an asterisk next to his bubble championship because I put asterisks next to everything that I feel deserve asterisks. I'm an asterisk guy. I'm not afraid to be an asterisk guy. So yes, I put an asterisk next to that. There's an asterisk. There's an asterisk next to these home run guys who hit home runs even though they were juiced up. Asterisk. Granted, you did it. Asterisk. I put an asterisk next to the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the championship in 2016. You get gifted with a Draymond Green suspension in a closeout game, and 3 guys getting hurt, and Kyrie Irving hitting the biggest shot of the series. Yeah, I say that's an asterisk. So it's not that I attack LeBron and I'm so quick to put an asterisk next to his achievements. I am just by nature an asterisk person. If I see something worthy of an asterisk, I'm going to put that thing there. I don't care. So, yeah, there's an asterisk on the bubble championship, of course. Half the teams didn't even go. Who cares? Like, yeah, you guys want an asterisk in a controlled environment with no fans, no crowd at Disney World. Yeah, there's an asterisk on that. I don't care what nobody says.
Damn, man. That was still a hellified tournament, though. You got to admit, that was an intense tournament.
It was intense only because the Heat made it to the championship. I'm rooting for the Heat. Otherwise, I watched that thing and it felt like a gimmick. That is what it felt like. It felt like a gimmick. It was weird. It felt like the preseason, or it felt like a G League championship. It was
a summer league in Vegas, right?
Yeah, it was weird, man.
But no, I hear you, man. I think the more valid point, the one that I didn't think of, was the fact that he has more of a Lakers legacy type of thing. That he's just trying to maintain the integrity of the tradition, and that's not what we do as Lakers. Um, and I think that's the closest thing he's got. But as far as you talking about goats and their supposed behavior, like what is a goat supposed to act like?
I don't
And
know.
as a
I've
goat
never
supposed to
heard
act,
that. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
as a goat supposed to act like Jordan, because Jordan was an asshole.
He was a jerk. Yeah.
Jordan still is an asshole. So is the goat supposed to act like Jordan, where they're just supposed to be, or are they supposed to be like more like LeBron? He's got a school and other things going, and he's black owned, and he's employing other people, and he's doing this and he's doing that, and he's trying the best that he can. He was in the front lines of social justice stuff that was going on with social justice things.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so he's doing all of these notable things. Is a goat supposed to do those things? So and so when he hits a game winning shot or a shot that ices the game or something like that, and the crowd's been getting at him all day, and he wants to let everybody know how he feels about them that night. Hey y'all, guess who's coming out on top? I is, and I just did it to y'all like that. Holy. I don't see any problem with that. If anything, Jordan would have did that if the balls dance was out back then.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Mr. Abdul-Jabbar. If y'all had balls dance back then, you would have been letting your nuts hang too. When you
Sure.
when you hung 40 something on some duck. You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
So my whole thing is like, hey man, it's relative to time. All right. Honestly, LeBron for president, the way he behaves as a human. That's why that whole scenario where people try to put it on him where he intentionally tried to make that boy bleed. He didn't try that. Yeah, he definitely swung like to get him off of him and try to get a little physical. But did LeBron really think he wanted to hit somebody so hard he made him bleed? Hell no. And that's not even close to his character. He's so PC. Why would he do such thing? He never has done such things. So why would he do it now? And then so even though honestly he's been a little bit on edge lately, I guess he's starting to let it all hang out. Kind of like how Tom
Because he knows
Brady
they ain't finna win. He knows that they don't have a chance to win. That's why he's on edge.
probably kind
Yeah.
of like how Tom Brady, when he finally left the Patriots, he started being a little bit more vocal in the media because he wasn't allowed to be vocal when he played for the Patriots. And so, and he's getting older in age, and like, fuck you. It's kind of like how old people when they just start farting,
Yeah,
and
they
just
get
like,
crotchety.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just don't care. It's like,
Mhm.
bro, I'm 80 some years old. You think I care what you think how I feel about my gas? And they just start letting it rip. And I think with LeBron, where he's at right now, in his age and his career, because he's never done the balls damn before either now. But he out there just doing the balls damn. Even when I saw him do that, I saw it live. I'm sitting here watching him do it. I'm like, what are you doing? What is
Yeah.
that? What dance is that? And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, bro, I get it. Like, get off your nuts. I get it. But why you? He did it for a long time. Honestly, it was 15K because he did it for so long. Now, if
Yeah.
he just did the gesture like, hold that, and he did it for a few seconds, they can't really do anything. But he literally did that dance, hopping around the court for at least 20 seconds. It's like, okay, I get it. I get it. You iced it like that. But as far as Kareem, man, just classic get off my porch, get
Yeah.
off my lawn stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I get it, but I mean, hey man. Side note, uh, we might be everybody has their moment of get off my lawn. We've been having our get off our lawn moments occasionally in some of these discussions, but I don't think to this degree. I don't think I'm that disconnected. But sooner or later, bro, it will get to that point where it's just like, bro, the gap is so large, bro. And that's the part where the gap is so large to where, and that's why I brought up the points about other things that LeBron does that is so Captain America like that he can't have this moment. Get off of his nuts, you know. So that's what
Yeah.
I feel. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. If anything, I think that if Kareem would have took the approach of, hey LeBron, don't do that dance, because that ain't you. So it just comes off looking corny.
Right.
That would have been better. But the issue that I had is that he took it to the GOAT. You're not supposed to act like this. He went full on righteous indignation. And that's where I was like, okay, bro, calm down. Like,
It's kind.
get this GOAT stuff out of here. Like, get all of that stuff out of here, man. Like, I hear you. He's becoming crotchety, and I truly believe that LeBron has. I think after LeBron won the bubble championship, the asterisk bubble championship, I think after he won that, he truly stopped giving a damn about what other people have to say as it pertains to the legacy of his career. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if he doesn't care anymore if he turns on the Undisputed and Skip Bayless is ripping him for missing a free throw late in the game or for passing instead of shooting to win the game. He doesn't care. He no longer cares if people have anything critical to say about his career. He's beyond it. He knows that in the grand scheme of things, when it's all said and done, people are going to say that he is either the first or second greatest player ever. And he knows that beyond the shadow of a doubt, to the point where he is going to basically do stuff like this during games because he knows it might rub some people the wrong way, but he's at the point now where he just doesn't care. He's no longer trying to protect a pristine basketball image. He's 18, 19 years in. Why? I don't need to do that no more. Who cares? I'm on my way out anyway. So I'm just going to let it all out, no pun intended. And I'm just going to, do whatever I want. And I don't care how you feel. But Kareem, with this GOAT stuff is where you lost me. Like stop trying to engage in all this behavioral control and use the notion of GOAT in order to justify you just being a get off my lawn person. Right. And that's pretty, but yeah, I think that this was just Kareem being get off my lawn guy. Like, for what? And I have already realized where I have become a get off my lawn person, and it's with music. I am already a get off my lawn guy when it comes to music. I have reached that point where I think all new music is bad. I think all new artists are bad.
R&B too.
Yeah. I think if I don't listen to any artists who are below the age of 30. If all this new music, these younger artists, the newer stuff, I hate it all. I think it all sucks. But I'll get into discussions with younger people who love this stuff. And I just have to realize that I've just become old enough that I'm get off my lawn when it comes to music. So yeah, we all reached that point. Kareem definitely reached that point a long time ago. He's an elder statesman. He's a senior citizen. So if he wasn't at that point, it would be a little weird. My whole thing is just enough with the GOAT stuff. Stop it with the behavior control. Just let him do his little ball dance and call it out for being corny, because that goes, opposed to LeBron's general nature. He just looks weird when he does stuff like that. LeBron is not the showboaty type of guy. He doesn't have the Westbrook edge to him. He's not John Wall doing the Dougie on the sidelines. That's not LeBron's shtick. That's not LeBron's shtick. So I would have just been like, bro, stop. You look corny. You look like a cornball. But yeah, I wouldn't have let to suggest that he has a responsibility to act a certain kind of way. What is that? We're talking about basketball here.
As far as, and I agree with all of that. And as far as LeBron's GOAT status, so basically, I would say the way that people are treating the term now, I would just basically call it who's the ambassador of the NBA, who's the NBA ambassador, and whoever the NBA's ambassador is at the moment is the GOAT. Period.
They do tend to use it there's now multiple GOATs. Yeah, the word has lost its luster over the years. It doesn't have nearly as much power.
Because honestly, how can there be the greatest?
Yeah.
And that's the part that's ridiculous. It's kind of honestly, bro, it's kind of like women. You know what I'm saying? And it's just hey, man, which one's got the best one? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the best. Well, they're all good.
Yeah.
You know? And so the same thing is, so each one of them good in their own kind of way too. You know what I'm saying? And so the same thing is with the guys that are like the best kinds of guys that ever played basketball. And so for those guys, it's just like, hey man, hey, there was only one Oscar Robertson. So yeah, there's triple doubles now, but it was a completely different league back then, man. And you had to be a machine to do those things.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we'll give him his credit back then. He's a GOAT. Oh, then there's this person is like Rodman. And when I started listening to some of Rodman's stats and I heard of some of the things that he did, it's just like
Impressive.
huh?
It's impressive.
Yeah, he averaged like 16 or 17 for his career. What? That's ridiculous. So you got to give him his credit on that too. So there's so many guys that's been great at the game of basketball that I just feel as though the GOAT thing is so impossible to point down and nail down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's guys out there like Rod Strickland, where his layup package was next level elite. Have never seen it since, never seen it before. And honestly, the way he would just finish was just next level. I will catch myself just watching his highlights just to watch him do layups.
Yeah.
There's Strickland layup package videos out there.
Yeah.
And
he was undersized.
Yeah.
Rod Strickland was undersized. Very much like Rodman. Rodman for his position was undersized as well.
Yeah. And so just watching certain guys, the way that they played, there's no way that I could say whatever. So LeBron, to me, he has done this because the first league ambassador, international global phenomenon was Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jordan laid the blueprint on how to do it. LeBron picked it up and carried his presidency well. He took his whole term very well. He won championships in there, asterisks and all. Right? Joining Wade and all. Grabbing AD, getting super teams and all. Hey, when the things when the paper, it's like when referees do certain things to certain games. When the game is over 3 years from now, only thing you're gonna see is Lakers 106.
Right.
All right. Kings 104. Right.
Yeah.
And so only thing you're gonna say, hey, Lakers won. They were the better team. Right?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that, but most people do that.
Most people do
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And so with the world that we live in, hey, man, that's more or less a circumstance that's, how it's going to play out. So, yeah, man, to me, I just feel as though that I respect all eras. I just feel as though LeBron did the best. He's doing the best type of presidency type of scenario I've seen. He's been a good president. Honestly, unhuman. And so and people give him so much flack for not being authentic, myself included, especially when he first was in the league. Like I was just getting on him about not being authentic and giving LeBron answers. You know what I'm saying? Me and my old lady, we have this thing of saying, that was a LeBron answer, bro. Basically meaning you gave me bullshit right there because it sounded good. So don't LeBron me right now. That's the thing. And so, but that's what he does. But now that I realize, him being in the league and being in the public for so long, and he's just been a good professional. And so I give him all the credit for being a good professional his entire career. Scandals and all, his mom getting involved in shit, him getting DM scenarios, him having this but at the end of the day, he's been a solid dude. If everybody was all up my behind like that since I was 18, bro, I'd be like everybody else, where the media was all up in their behind. They got some other crap going on over here, some crap going on over there. It's rare where we get like a Denzel Washington, who's just an actor and he's not of Hollywood like that. Yeah. And the same thing with like LeBron. Yeah, he's super cool. He's super everybody. He's in commercials and stuff like that. He's whatever. But at the end of the day, man, the worst thing that anybody can put on him is that he's too politically correct. But in today's day and age, how can you not?
Yeah.
And so if you're running an operation and the world knows you and the world can be offended by the drop of a hat, of course you're going to be talking on eggshells every moment, you know. So I feel like he's been a good ambassador. So I think he does a good job being a GOAT at that. And I give him all the credit in the world for being superhuman when it comes to not being, you know, a jackass with all of that power and control. You know what I mean? So I feel like
yeah, I would argue that he's been a jackass on several occasions. You know, certain things immediately come to mind, like, you know, complaining about not having an all-star game earlier this year. That was ridiculous. Like, he was the only one crying about not wanting to have an all-star game because he didn't want to go, but all the other players did want to go. So he should have just not went. But of course he goes because he knows that if he doesn't go, people are going to be mad at him for not going. But stuff like that was just like, bro, just shut up and go. Like, it kills you to go to an all-star game. You know, you're going to complain about it. So stuff like that has been annoying. But yeah, overall, yeah, he has been a good ambassador. I do think he's more of a jerk than people realize. But I also think that in order to achieve a level of excellence on that scale, you kind of have to have some jerkiness aspect of your personality.
Yeah,
and that's not just in sports. That's in everything. That's like, you don't become a billionaire in business without being jerky in some kind of way. Like, I feel like in order to achieve at that level, there is a part of your personality that's like my way or the highway. And if you can't roll with what I'm doing, get out of my way type deal. So I can understand and respect that. As it pertains to the GOAT thing, I just think that what most people do is they just fail to distinguish great from best, and they end up conflating the two things. And that's what causes all these arguments, because greatest of all time is like who had the greatest like career versus who's the best or best. The word best indicates like talent. So like, you know, that's why, you know, you get into these discussions with people yelling at each other. Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. People want to dismiss that. Well, he actually is. He had the best career. He had the greatest career. No one's going to argue that he was the best quarterback. When I watch Aaron Rodgers to me is better. However, who had the greater career? Tom Brady. You can't argue 7 Super Bowls. What are you going to do with that? You can't argue that. And it's not like Tom Brady was playing like a duck. He played well, but obviously there's some aspect of what you're seeing when you're watching these people perform that goes into this notion of better and best. So if I'm watching Aaron Rodgers, there's something that I see that just catches my eye. That's like, okay, well, that level of talent in terms of the ceiling of his talent level, more than Tom Brady, higher than Tom Brady. I would say he's better at the position of quarterback than Tom Brady. But who's greater? Tom Brady. And it's not like it's such a huge gap between Tom Brady's talent and Aaron Rodgers' talent. You know, it's close enough in terms of talent, but Brady's career is so here that it's very much so a foregone conclusion. Tom Brady is the greatest ever because he has the greatest career achievement. And so what they're doing with LeBron when they're talking about the greatest of all time is they're not really talking about his status as the best. They're just trying to sandwich him. They're trying to force his way into this greatest of all time discussion because of his career achievement and the fact that people love his personality so much. You know, they're trying to factor in things that are, in my opinion, irrelevant to the conversation, like what he does off the court. That to me has nothing to do with the conversation around his sports, the sports discussion of greatest of all time. Leave that other stuff to the side. But people try to throw all of that stuff into a pot, cook it up, and then get this miracle formula. And so that's when you get into all of this GOAT stuff. But people like you or I can clarify that. And, you know, the way that you clarify it is career, league ambassador, statesman for the league and representative and all of that kind of stuff, which is a good way to look at it. And the way that I would look at it is like career achievement, because at the end of the day, he's going to have all of his numbers, and he does have the 4 championships, even though one is suspect to me. So, between the championships and all the numbers, does he, warrant that greatest? Sure. Is he the best? No. And in my opinion, he wouldn't really be top 3 when it comes to greatest or best ever, unless you're specifically qualifying it within the context of career achievement. So it is what it is. It's whatever with LeBron. The Lakers ain't gonna win this year anyway. So it is what it is. But Kareem with his get off my lawn stuff, it just makes fun. It just makes for fun talk and fun banter, and you can go back and forth with all of this stuff. But attaching GOAT to the conversation to try and dictate how LeBron should behave, that to me is a bit unreasonable. And I'm not a LeBron guy at all, but that's just being a bit too unreasonable. Like, whatever, the guy is still somebody who's hyper competitive. And if he's in a certain type of mood and he does something on the court, let him show out. It is what it is. Like, we keep attaching these degrees of behavior for tiers of players. They're all human beings. They're all in the same boat, whether they're elite guys or they're guys on the bench. So just let it be. That's how I feel.
As far as I gotten older, and I tell people to get off my lawn too. And you're right, I do tell people to get off my lawn with music. I can't stand what's going on. And when you're saying that, bro, I don't know what it is about today's singers, or they're all singing the same kind of way, where it's some weird type of thing. I'm like, what is that? Stop.
They're not actually vocalists, man. They're using all types of equipment and stuff.
It's so weird, and I don't like it. And I said, I never thought I'd get to the point where I was like, I don't like music. You know what I'm saying? I don't like what these new people are doing. I don't know what it is. Yeah. So I do shake at the clouds, and I do tell these kids to get off my lawn when it comes to this music. So I can only imagine other things later. But as I can understand get off my lawn logic. So now when I hear people tell people to get off lawns, it's hilarious. So before I would have got more offended by what Mr. Abdul-Jabbar had to say. But, after I laughed at it, then I critiqued it. But it's funny first. It's funny. I got a good laugh out of it.
Yeah, man. We all get to the point where we're get off my lawn in some kind of way. It's just a natural progression of life. So, what I just try to do with my get off my lawn stuff is I try to not impress my ideals of how somebody should act onto others. I just simply talk about how you should get the hell off my lawn. Right. So in other words, like, if I'm not gonna get into an argument with somebody who likes Lil Baby, right, and be like, hey man, you shouldn't like Lil Baby, you should like Jay-Z. I'm not gonna get into all of that. If you like Lil Baby, fine, like Lil Baby. I'm, just don't tell me that I'm crazy for liking what I like, and I won't tell you that you're crazy for liking what you like, and we can just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. So in other words, like, Kareem saying you're a GOAT, you should act like this. I'm not going to be somebody who says, hey, I like Jay-Z, you should be liking artists who make music like Jay-Z. I'm just going to be like, hey man, like your stuff. Yeah. Like your beat, like your weird old music, like all of that stuff. And that's all it is. I just let it go. I just try not to feel like everyone should think how I think. That is when you start to go down the slippery slope when it comes to the get off my lawn stuff, is when you don't have the self-awareness to at least take a step back and say, it's okay for me to be get off my lawn when it comes to my worldviews, but let me not feel as though everybody needs to be in agreement with me or thinking the way that I think about stuff, and let that not further fuel my get off my lawnness. Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty much all I say, because hell yeah, man. Like, and music ain't the only thing too. Like, even, there's other stuff where I'm get off my lawn, but, you just accept it, man. Generational change is a real thing. So, there's people growing up today who don't even understand what Jay-Z was when Jay-Z was in his prime. I was in my barbershop like a month ago, and my barber was playing The Blueprint, and there was girls in there who do hair who had never heard those songs. They never heard them. And so it just is. Now, am I going to get on my soapbox and try to tell them why they should understand why The Blueprint is one of the greatest albums ever? No, that is a waste of my energy. I am not going to engage in such an exercise in futility. So if y'all want to tell, if y'all, y'all can go on living and telling me that, Dirty DS2 by Future is one of the greatest albums ever, because young people will tell you stuff like that. I'm going to disagree because I'll disagree with that, but that's all. I'll leave it at that. I disagree, but I'm not going to come back at you like, oh, you like that, you should listen to the Black Album. We are talking about two different generations of people who really do consume music in completely different ways. And we're coming to that point with sports too. Older people consume sports completely different than young people do, and it's only going to get even more and more stratified as the generations get even younger. So it's a free-for-all. Everybody can just have at it and live. That's what I say. And I'll just continue to bask in the glory of my Spotify playlist, and I'll just enjoy that. And, I don't care about what other people are listening to or whatever they're doing. It is of no concern to me. It doesn't ruin my day. It doesn't make me want to listen about the music that I like any less. So it just is what it is, man. It's a, even exchange, man, fair trade. Y'all get y'all stuff and I get mine. But yeah, I learned at a younger age than the current age that I am at now, that it's okay to be get off my lawn, but it certainly does not pay to be get off my lawn person who is also going to try and convince others why they should buy into his get off my lawnness. That's what I'm not going to do.
Agreed.
But other than that, man, Kareem, I guess you're an all-time great. The older people say that you're top 5 all-time. I don't agree with that, but again, there's that get off my lawn stuff. So, so it is what it is. But that'll do it for today's topics, man. We had a nice lean list of topics, but I think we touched on some pretty good stuff. I guess I'll just take away from this, man, that as you get older, you'll start to realize that you think everybody else is crazy for not thinking how you think. And that's okay, because it's only natural. But just try to catch yourself in the midst of that and be like, okay, I'm going to continue to be dogged in my thoughts, but I'm not going to try and impress my worldviews on everybody else, because this stuff isn't linear and people are entitled to think and feel how they want to think. As it pertains to the first topic that we talked about, when it comes to a lot of these weird racial issues, I guess, long story short, I would just like to say to just pay attention to the nuance and not allow yourself to get caught up or swept up, rather, in the non-nuanced general talking points that really don't address the deeper roots of a lot of these issues. Because understanding the deeper roots of a lot of these issues can certainly help with promoting greater understanding. But the easier thing to do is to just say it's this, that. The easiest thing to do is to say it's black and white. And the hardest thing to do is acknowledge the gray and want to talk about the gray. Because a lot of times when we choose to talk about the gray, I feel like people are reluctant to talk about the gray because the gray could force them to have to confront how they feel about certain things and reassess certain forms of thinking, because they may learn, I haven't always been thinking about this the right way. And people generally don't like to do that. People like to continue to think that the way they've been thinking about stuff is the right way about it. And so they avoid the gray and they avoid the nuance because they just want to think that it always is this. So those would be my parting thoughts. I don't know if you had any parting thoughts.
Yeah, just overall, man, just, pulling from both scenarios, at least for me, just looking at the bigger picture and everything. That's what I gathered from the Sandra Bullock thing. Initially, emotionally, from the Sandra Bullock thing, it rubbed me in a way where it's like, why does she want to talk about black issues like this? I mean, you're not really the mother of the child. You really don't understand what's going on in these scenarios. This is really, I don't know where you're getting at with this. So that's initially my ego's first reaction to it, was a slight objection to it. Overall, I saw the bigger picture for the child and the lifestyle that the child has to live or whatnot. And so when the way that I live my life, to make sure that I'm not out here absorbing too much things that's going on in the world, is I don't take things personally. Initially, my first reaction is to take things personally, but then there has to be an overall logical way of viewing the scenario that will alleviate emotions from controlling your outcomes.
Yeah.
So for me, what helped me see beyond my initial reaction was to see the bigger picture, which ultimately makes me feel better that, hey, there is a kid out there that is living a better scenario out there than he would be living if he wasn't in that condition with that woman. So the bigger picture, there. And as far as the Kareem thing is, the get off my lawn stuff, man, is that hey man, everybody, there's always going to be those moments. And for me, I said I have my get off the lawn moments, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And there's a bigger picture though. And so the way that you can tell people to get off your lawn and not have it be such a big deal is that there's some peace of mind within you, that that there will forever be people stepping on your lawn. Every moment there will be steps on your lawn, and it's okay to tell them to get off. You don't have to tell them to, but there will always be people doing things that's going to make you upset.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to be things that rocks the boat of whatever tradition you come from, and things aren't the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to be okay with that. But being okay with that doesn't mean that you have to accept it. You just have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Be
okay with it existing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to be okay with the fact that this is something that exists.
Yeah.
No one's holding a gun to your head saying that you have to get down and lay down, but just acknowledge that it's there. It exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the day that it does, you do have to get down and lay down. That's really a post-apocalyptic world that I don't want to be a part of. Right. But if it's just stuff that's in the media that's just flying by you, don't let it bother you.
Right. Especially given the fact that it's here today, gone tomorrow. This stuff trends for a day, and then no one's talking about it the next day.
Exactly. And so, yeah, man. So that's my takeaway, man. Just overall, taking a step back, not being that first mindset of whatever your initial reaction is. Take a step back from that. And even if you took a step back from that, take a step back from that.
Yeah.
Just so you can have a more holistic understanding of your thought process before you take your next step. So that's more or less my takeaway from all of this here too.
Yeah. All right. And with that, man, we're going to go ahead and sign off for this week's edition of the Conscious Approach live stream. Once again, my name is JB Wins, as always. Okay. Definitely subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the like button, hit the share button, comment wherever you are seeing this video. Go ahead and get into the comments. Certainly appreciate it. Always share the video. Follow the Conscious Approach page on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. Conscious Approach is also on Facebook. Facebook.com/Conscious Approach, normal spelling. I am on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. I'm also on the Facebook as well at Javis Ogden, JVISOGDEN, as well as on Twitter, JV Wins, search JV Wins, or at Javis Ogden, JAVISOGDEN, and the full content library. Before we were even doing videos, man, this platform started off as a hub for blog posts. I just go to Panera Bread and Barnes and Noble, and I just write what was on my mind, post it to the website, and then just put it out into the ether for people to, opine on what they thought about the writing. So that's a long-winded way of saying that the full content library for this channel is available on consciousapproach.com. The website is consciousapproach.com. I will be uploading the backlog of videos onto all the rest of the channels. I know I say that often, and it is because I refuse to give up. It will happen. I promise you. So be on the lookout for that. Also for individual non-live stream videos as well, a conscious approach. So be sure to check that out. All the more reason to continue to share the content and like and subscribe to the channel. Certainly appreciate it. Always appreciate you supporting logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS or here on YouTube at Dogon SS. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. All right, I will be dropping videos over there. It's a party. Hit the likes on the videos and hit the bell for them notifications. All right. Other than that, just like to say what I normally say, man. Just keep it chill, man. Keep it player. Stay laid back, man. Don't let the world get to you. All right, man. Just try to find your peace in your own world, man, and just stay laid back, man. Stay balanced. Stay even keel. All right. Don't be too high. Don't be too low. Just don't let the world get to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts, man. Go ahead. If you own that lawn that you want people to get off of, go ahead and build a bird feeder on the lawn so that you can get birds flying on the lawn and give you some peace. Build a gazebo or something. Enhance the lawn that you want people to get off of. Figure out a way to give yourself some serenity and peace amidst yelling at people to get off your lawn.
Exactly.
I promise it'll make everything better, because all of the things that you complain about in the world, those things are going to continue, whether you continue to complain about them or not. So you might as well just stop complaining about them, or at least complain about it. But as Dogon said, not let the emotional aspect of it get to you too heavy. So with that, man, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to holler at y'all next week. Peace.